I don't know who that has the mic. Yeah.
It's a whole lot easier. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. I just didn't get, I just said, man, I should have done this a long time ago.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Please take the seats, please. Hello, everyone. We're about to start now. And it's the formal presentation of this, right? I'm Frank Martinez. I'm Mike and Carol's good friend. Mike was actually my defense attorney. That's how we met. We became buddies. But I know there's another guy around here. Where's Jimmy? Mike. Anyways, if we can all settle down, we're going to start the presentation part of this event. Hello. I see you talking way too much back there. Attention, everybody. We're getting ready to get the show on the road. I mean, you guys already have the main part of the show, which is fellowshipping and hugging and being friendly with each other, and remembering Mike and adventure stories of Mike. And so, right now we're doing a live broadcast here for streaming through Facebook and YouTube as well. I did this because there's some people who just would not be able to attend for one reason or another. However, I do want to thank everybody who's attending with us online, and of course everyone who's here live with us as well. Thank you. Thanks for coming and showing your love and support. So, you know, we decided that we were going to do this part of the event so people can tell their tales, right? Their Mike adventure tales. And there's some people who might want to speak up. I've spoken to some of them that I've contacted ahead of time. So let's see, who we start with first? Don't all rush the stage right away. Shall we go with Craig? Craig left?
How did you find me? I was in the back of the room.
I heard you talking.
I'm always talking. Hi, I'm Craig Leff. I met Mike in 1990 when he was at Forward Health. My ex-wife, Kate Fixton, was there, and Mike and I started becoming friends, and I've known him now for like 31 or 32 years, and I realized, looking at all of you, I'm a newbie, because you guys go way back. And I was lucky enough to work with Mike, and I was lucky enough to be his friend. And I'm going to miss him, just like all of you.
Rick Barnett. Rick Barnett here.
I am, but I'm gonna save mine for a little bit.
Okay, Frank Reagan. Rick's gonna tell the blue stories. after the sun starts going down.
We've got 12 or 13 pages here, so I'm going to cut it short. I met Mike in 1967 in an embryology lab at USD. Mike was fascinated with the slides, and I later found out why. But he would call me over and show me the slides and tell me how marvelous it was. And that began a 55-year friendship. We went to law school at the same time, Mike during the days and me at night. We, after law school, Mike clerked for Pete Savitz for a period of time. I went to Federal Defenders, Mike came to Federal Defenders. Frank Vecchione was at Federal Defenders. Some of the other folks that are here tonight, today, were at Federal Defenders, and we can't tell all the stories that occurred at Federal Defenders. But we had a marvelous time. We learned a lot. We had great success. Mike was, as you know, the lawyers here, Mike was a fierce advocate. He took as good a care of his clients as could be done. He advocated at trial level, and if not successful, he often won at the Court of Appeals. He was a fabulous lawyer. Mike loved his family. We lived a half block apart on Archer for a great period of time. And I remember going trick-or-treating with Mike and the kids. And one Christmas, our kids were at an age where they wanted a swing set. So we, of course, wanted to surprise them. So Mike volunteered his garage a half block away for the swing set, so we had it in there. But on Christmas Eve at 11:30, Mike and I were in his garage putting it together. And I'll never forget going down Archer Street, holding the swing set, Mike on one end and me on the other. And the kids were very happy with it, and it was great fun. Then after Federal Defenders, we started practicing in private practice. Mike, Pete, and I bought Forward House up on the corner of First and Ivy. And a lot of very accomplished lawyers passed through Forward House as tenants. And we had several parties there. So we also went skiing. And if you know Mike, if you ever skied with Mike, Mike knows one speed. Fast, downhill, no turns. The only person I knew that could ski without ever turning. Every year we had a fishing trip out of Fisherman's Landing. Lawyers from up and down the coast would come. Mike was always one of the people that was a part of putting it on, and was one of the people who was the life of the party. Most of the time, we spent more time over the rail than at the rail because of the high seas. But it was great fun, and it was great camaraderie with all the lawyers from up and down the coast. I see in the pictures Mike's smile. Mike's laughter and his wit and his smile was always a huge part of his personality. And that's really part of what endeared him to so many of us. When we lived close together, we were accomplished enough, each family having one car. So Mike and I would alternate driving to work. He would drive me, and the next day I would drive him. So that was a part of the development of our close friendship. Another time when we were living close together, my wife grew up playing the piano and always had a piano in her home, and I wanted to provide her a piano. So I found an old piano down in South Mission Beach in Upright, and we borrowed a pickup truck. Mike, Sloan Cotner, and myself went down to South Mission, put it in the back of the pickup, and drove north to where we lived, North PB. Of course, Sloan is playing the piano and Mike's singing coming down Mission Boulevard on a summer day. We got a lot of attention. It wasn't for the quality of our singing, though. It was the kind of fun and good memories that I have with Mike. Mike's ability to laugh and cause others to laugh helped all of us during many difficult times. Being a criminal defense lawyer is not the easiest road in the practice of law. Oftentimes there's difficult cases and they're hard to find a suitable solution. But Mike's humor and his wit was always a great solace and kept a smile on our faces, no matter how difficult it was. I remember Mike as from the time we were federal defenders, he was always very creative in the practice of law. He was very smart. In law school, he was in law review, and he was very determined with his clients. He battled for his clients. I remember one time in the early years, Judge Turrentine yelling across the room, "Mike, Mac, that trial gonna go next week?" There was an affection between he and some of the judges that was noticeable. That didn't apply to many lawyers. Mike was a good friend. He was a good lawyer. He will be greatly missed, but he will always be remembered. Thank you.
You know, Mike would tell me stories of when he was at the Federal Defenders, that old building next to MCC. And he said that the offices were in the basements, what he told me. And they had these basement case windows right at sidewalk level. And he says, and his desk was like right by one of those windows there. And he said, whenever a pretty girl would walk by, you know, with nice legs, he'd call all the other guys and he'd say, hey, there's one going by, there's one going by. And they all rushed over to the window.
Well, in light of Frank's comments, I just have a few brief comments. Mike McCabe was the smartest guy I've ever met in my life. He would dictate a 15-page memo and would make 3 little corrections, and that would be it. But that's all he needed. It was unbelievable what he could do. But, you know, Mike was also a guy that believed in the truth. And so there was an occasion when he got into it with one of the prosecutors in a case being tried in front of Judge Turrentine out in the hallway. And some children here will have to edit this a little bit. But the prosecutor asked for a sidebar, meet with the judge before the jury was brought in or whatever. And he says, Your Honor, I need to report to you that Mr. McCabe called me an a-hole. And Mike said, that's a lie. I call him a effing a-hole, and I stand by it. Judge Turrentine. Oh, Mac, come on now. Oh, Mac. That was Mike McCabe.
Anybody else? Who's coming forward? I can call you out because I got some stories I heard.
Thank you. My name is Chuck Sevilla, and I knew Mike for the last 50 years. He joined Federal Defenders in 72 or 73, along with 2 other Franks who are here today, Frank Vecchione and Frank Reagan. And sooner or later, Frank Mangan joined the group. Well, frankly speaking, we had a lot of Franks. So you couldn't go wrong if you turned the corner and said, Frank, come here, I need some help. So those were fun days. We had a great small office with John Cleary and Lou Wenzel, the 3 Franks. I'm forgetting some people. Not too many people because there were only 6 of us or 7 of us. But one of the things that we used to do is have, for a couple of years, blowout parties in Tecate, Mexico. And I think the Franks will remember this, particularly when Frank Reagan drove Mike over the hill. Now, to get to Tecate was an arduous task, even sober. But coming back, it was a miracle that any of us made it back. Particularly at one of the parties down there, some guy pulled a gun on Jim McCabe, but that's another story. But Mike was overserved at that party. And Frank drove him back, and I think Frank ended up cleaning his Volkswagen out for the next 6 weeks as Mike reconstituted his innards and put them in Frank's car. At Federal Defenders, we were so small, but we filled a vacuum to compete with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and Mike was a stalwart warrior amongst all of us. At one point, the U.S. Attorney's Office, which was much bigger as it is today, at that time it had a couple of dozen people, and they issued a press release saying, well, we've just announced this guy is the head of immigration, this guy's the head of drug enforcement. So we decided, although there were only 6 of us, we'd all be the head of the department at Federal Defenders. So we issued a press release and made Mike the head of drug enforcement, which was appropriate for the time. But we had a lot of fun together. We played basketball at the Over the Hill Mission B-Ballers. We had regular poker games with Sloan and Gail and Father Danny at our houses. That gravitated into another poker game with Big Al, the sportsman's pal, and Jack Phillips and Ron Mix and who am I forgetting, Jack? A lot of people. And Mike, of course. Mike was so much fun to be with. He was just indescribably fun to be with and to play with, whether it's basketball or poker, and we enjoyed our times. Mike and I wasn't all fun and games. We had some very difficult cases together, as some of you may know, including a death penalty case, which we did for 13 years, and a few other cases. So, but shoulder to shoulder, Mike was a warrior, and we fought the good fight in those cases. So Mike's spirit was sweet and happy and smiling, and that's what I'll take with me in my memory of Mike McCabe. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to share? Mike adventure stories? Oh, hey. Hey, Frank. How you doing, buddy?
I'm Mark Geller. Mike and I met literally 50 years ago. We both clerked for the same lawyer, a gentleman named George Hattersley. And this was on Union Street. It was actually where the new Superior Court is. We were at 1150 Union Street, and the new courthouse is at 1100 Union Street. It was gobbled up. And he and I became very good friends then. And we never actually practiced law together. In all the years, we run into each other in the jail, we run into each other in the court. But after, and I met Frank Reagan during that period of time because he was working with Judge Turrentine, and then I met a number of other people. But my recollection of Mike is in Mission Beach. I lived in South Mission Beach for 50 years. He moved there probably about 40 years ago, lived in several houses in South Mission Beach. We sailed together, we body surfed together, we walked together, we worked out together, our wives worked together, our kids hung out together. I remember a number of you coming down to the beach and being out in front of our house in South Mission Beach, and I'll truly miss it.
Have anybody else who wants to share? Oh. Oh, okay. You guys will have to watch all these stuff.
For the capital. For the capital contingent. I lived down the street from the McCabes, and they came to Capistrano the same year my family did in 1956. My dad was a grunt Marine. Mr. McCabe was an Airedale Marine. So where we were, the Marines that were Airedales went to El Toro, the Marines that were grunts went to Pendleton. We grew up together in the same neighborhood. There were 6 Gaffneys and 7 or 8 McCabes. Mary was Joe's age, Annie was Tom's age, Johnny was Mary Ellen's age, and then we ran out. They still had more. But we played Little League together, Boy Scouts, all that kind of stuff until they moved away to San Diego. But I can remember when we were kids, you'd watch Twilight Zone on Friday nights. Every Friday night, everybody watched Twilight Zone. And on Monday morning on the way to school, we would dissect the episode and discuss it. And Mike was one of the leading discussers of those episodes. He was a Little League All-Star, and then he went up to Monterey for a while, and he had the same problem that everybody from Capistrano had. He was so damn far away, it was hard to do things. But he played football up there, freshman, probably sophomore year. And I guess he used to ride up the bus in the morning, and then after football practice, he'd hump it over to the train station, which Monterey is at Edinger and Bristol train station is more than an easy walk, and he'd ride the train home. And then like a lot of other guys who went to school with, he decided, hell this, and went to San Clemente High. But he got to play his senior year over there, and that was the only team San Clemente High had, the first year at San Clemente High, and they just missed making the playoffs, and all the rest of their teams were crap forever until they finally started playing well a couple of years ago. But my friend Stevie Avila, who Cordell knows, and Pat Forster knows, and Annie and Mary know, you know, from Capo, said they were the same age, and he said Mike was the hardest working guy he ever played with. He wasn't the most talented, but man, he worked hard. And I can remember going to Little League practice when I was about 9, 10, 11, something like that. And I went from where we lived on Ganado Road. I was cutting through the backside of San Juan Elementary, and Mike was down there running wind sprints all by himself in shorts, sweatshirt, and his cleats. And this was so we were going to Little League, so this was spring, you know, and he's down there running sprints. It was I saw a lot of them. I saw a lot of the guys. All the McCabes and Gaffneys were in the same bunch with the Old Mission School and all the rest of the stuff. And that was when San Juan Capistrano was a little bitty 1,200 person town, you know, so you knew everybody and all that sort of thing. But then they left. Johnny said it was 65 or so. I didn't remember exactly when it was, but I remember Colonel McCabe had retired, you know, and he was driving down all the time to teach and all that stuff. And so they finally said, the heck with it, moved down to San Diego. So I never saw Mike again. In fact, I hadn't seen anybody. I saw Annie a couple of years ago at St. Joseph's Day, but I hadn't seen anybody else since 1965 or whatever it was. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in. We used to play war all the time, running around through the houses and all the rest of that stuff. And Mike was right out there amongst us. And since all our dads were Marines, we were never fighting Germans. We were always fighting Japanese. And so we had massive war games all over the neighborhood. Because in those days, the 26 or 27 or 28 houses, whatever it is up there, probably only about 2/3 of them were occupied. So we were running in and out of yards and shooting at each other and all kind of crazy stuff that kids do. Had fond memories of him. I'm sorry we lost touch. It doesn't surprise me when you say what a good lawyer he was, because whatever he was taking on, Mike was a flaler. He worked at it, and he had good instincts when it came to sports, which is what I saw him in. But it doesn't surprise me he was that good a student either, because he was just that kind of guy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cordell Bailey. Mike was a different things to different people. To me, he was my best friend. We first met in Little League Baseball, playing for his dad when we were 8 years old. So I'm going for 66 years. Through Mike, I met others of his friends, Bill Sink and Tom Downer. Tom is gone now. Of course, we remained best friends for the rest of our lives. As I was the only child, I was fortunate to have grown up with the McCabe family. 2 sisters and 4 brothers. His mom and dad were hardworking parents. Mary was a wonderful mother. I particularly cared for her father, John McCabe. like a father to me. He was a Marine officer. He was an outstanding World War II pilot. That would fly with him. Later, he would become an economics professor at USD, and he got his law degree. And I think on the first try, he passed the bar. He was also our little league coach, as I mentioned before. We took many trips together, which included, which we called buddy reunions. We went to Cabo San Lucas, San Francisco, Lake Tahoe, Cool, California, and Palm Springs in Wisconsin. I want to express my gratitude to Mike's wife, Carol, who dearly loved him, and he dearly loved her. She took wonderful care of him through the years, right up to the time of his passing. She was a godsend to Mike. My condolences to Mike's two sons, Aaron and John, and also his siblings, Mary, Annie, John, Jimmy, Billy, and Jay. I will miss him greatly and will never forget him. Rest in peace.
You're gonna tell the stories on Mike, Matt Farrell?
Hello, everybody. Albert Keeler is my name. They say a measure of a man is based on his friends. Look what you have here. I mean, you got a group of people that are solid, great trial lawyers in the state of California, great family, beautiful wife. It's just remarkable, really. That it says a lot about Mike. That saying it really means a lot. I was fortunate to be part of the B-ballers that Chuck was talking about. Chuck Sevilla. We used to play basketball every Sunday morning and at 9 o'clock. And boy, did we have a great crew out there. It was amazing. And then that kind of played into the poker games that we would play. And that was another great group, all criminal, well, not all, but 90% criminal defense lawyers. I was a plaintiff's personal injury lawyer, so I was always at kind of the outside. These guys would be talking in, code section, penal code section, this, and Mike was encyclopedic. He could cite cases and on the official reports, not just the name of the year of the case, but the actual citation. And these guys would be talking Barnett and I said, what are you guys talking about? But it was criminal defense law, and they were really good at it. And so anyway, I guess my claim to fame with Mike, I didn't get to know Mike until we were both in our 50s. We were about the same age. And I lived in South Mission Beach, and Mike did too for a time. And so we would hang out together. And one night we went to George's at the Cove. And we didn't start there, actually. We started out earlier, and we ended up there, though, probably about 10 or 11. And that's when Mike met Carol. And from that minute on, what year was that? Do you remember? Carol, where are you? Do you remember what year? I mean, 96. From that point on, those two were together, and Mike's life changed. As Cordell was saying, it was the best thing that happened to Mike. His life just skyrocketed in so many different ways. But he was solid from the beginning. Carol was too. But I love those two. We went on many cruises together to the Mediterranean and to the Caribbean. Just countless incidents that were. It was just so much fun. I can't describe it all, but I can only say that Mike lived a great full life. It was a sad ending, no question about it. It was very sad for me because I'd never experienced anything like that before. But goddamn it, he had a great life, and I'm glad that you all came here to share your stories because that means a lot. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to come forward? We do have some people online waiting to come forward as well. And so I'm going to switch it over to the computer and we can see what they have to say from the screen over here. So.
Hi, everybody. I'm not sure. Technology is not my long suit, as you can probably tell in the last minute or so. But I'm not sure. Technology is not my long suit, as you can probably tell in the last minute or so. But technology is not my long suit, or so. All echoing. I think I'm going to mute myself because I might be messing up the whole show here, so I apologize for that.
And, something that I would try better instead of constantly tomorrow, future, and all that sort of thing. But yes, that while he wasn't most sensitive to me, he always was active. He always wanted to about, something like sport, love sport. As his friend alluded to, was up, I think, Grant skipped the generation and all that. That he said, my boy, that's my boy out there. Like, I hear, yeah, my boy. He was loved and play. And Nina was a little guy. I mean, it wasn't a lot of young wood girls and immediately. And so it's always a memory for me. I love you guys so much. It's like too many days of best being basically did this on a Sunday. We did every single Sunday we went to the beach and you should you never know. Hang out, game off. Every Sunday, but you really, yeah. A lot of fun. I don't know what I mean. This, like I said, he lived out. He was just a great. One other husband, grandfather. I have stories to say, but well, so yeah, and, this is a appreciation to share. But anyway, so it became like friends. That was fine. Promoting. But much like this, it's pretty ideal. But anyway, so my I became so close that I felt that he really was for me all his and he respected all way. Just give them the best of them. And that's what I, he never pocket not a change. My it was true, prove it, then you're happy for sure. And I mean that you can that's right. You're happy, you're a person. And he was me. I was very grateful for him and that reaching him. And I learned from him, including what a fun guy he was, things he doing. I remember when I went home because he couldn't have any more stuff left. I bring him home and we come home like, hey, on his way meeting the site there when I'm right. And she come in and I come up there the sheet before right. Ooh, look at that. But time to that. Today. And because, you know, this had to have spark. And so you had to drop it into the, it was my point to do that. Care with we up on, and then we'd have to up halfway through the day. We creep through the barefoot grill and have drain. We go to the hammer and a lot of places we continue on. We carefully want to meet the camera for lunch and a drink halfway through the mission, get out. And I do figure a place for just listening to around it. So good time remember with, and now I can see him kind of he did, but you know, he was still inside, even though he was visit and all. He knew what he had to say. He his own peoples, even though he challenge communicate, he still laugh at great. So, and that's all I have to say.
My name is Brad. And we enjoy so many things in life and so many events, family, small things. The life that's and we stage. Because and then loaded. Like was the big and 21 like second one of the 2007. Then 2020 and it was video in the other and that's great. Mike, so appreciate it. And always so that laugh, you know, I think of her as you hold out ocean. Well, yeah. Like, oh. So I just want to share that. A lot of pictures I found.
I think to what you're at time. You want to say over there?
Here, you can. Come on. John. Here.
Yes. No. Thank you. Meeting. I think it was, you know, Clever. Check. Actually, those extremely cool. But
Yeah, of course, my younger son. I remember, him working around. Yeah. Basically, always my big.
Okay. Oh. Okay, thank you. Well, let's enjoy, like Mike. Good. Right. One. Ha. Ha. Not. Here. We just. Let me.
Thank you.